All your favorite wrestling shows rolled into one. Welcome to the WeBook It Podcast. Let's start the show.
Good Monday evening once again, everybody. I am Coach and I am your host once again for another edition of Monday Night Raw Dog. I hope you are all having a great evening. I know I am, because a lot of great things happening right now in the world, not only of wrestling, but also in the world of sports gambling, because when your boy hits 2 parlays in one night, you know you're having a good streak. But that's beside the point. I am happy, very happy, that this man is back. He survived Florida. He survived Disneyland. He is back, and he is the best producer for the Monday Night Show. And don't tell Virgil, but probably for the whole crew. But that's just my opinion. We have Big Daddy C. C, welcome back, man.
Yeah, it's good. It's great to be back, man. Nice little break from Springfield and just my normal routines. Got a chance to spend time with family. Most of my family's from Chicago, so it's good to be hanging out with them. It's mostly my cousins who all went on the trip, and so yeah, we had stayed at this nice fancy Airbnb, and so I think Airbnb had about 13 to 15 rooms.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, nice little backyard pool area with with a hot jacuzzi, or a hot tub, whatever you want to call it. It's pretty solid. So yeah, we just kicked it at the Airbnb for most of the time. We went to Disney World on a Friday because we all got there Thursday. Then we went to Disney on Friday. And then Saturday pretty much chilled and had a little barbecue at the Airbnb. Then some of the other cousins went and did other stuff around town. And so it was pretty solid, man. It wasn't too hot. Even had some rain for most of the time there, which is cool. It actually rained at Disney for a little bit.
Oh.
So yeah, kind of helped deal with the heat for the most part. So a lot of walking though. I probably burnt a lot of calories while I was there. So got my good cardio in, made up for not going to the gym when I needed to. So yeah, but I definitely felt good after the fact. So my body is recovering. But being in the car for 20 hours, 20-hour drive, I don't recommend it. So I'm definitely flying out next time around. And I will not be going to either Disney or Universal Studios unless it's like in January or February where the weather is good and there are little to no kids around, because it was painful. And damn Peter Pan ride, I hate it. I waited almost an hour in line just for a 2-minute ride. I was like, no, I'm not doing it again. Lightning Lane Pass it is the next time around. But yeah, I digress. Let's talk some wrestling.
All right, so we kick things off for this go home Monday Night Raw before Night of Champions. And before we even get started for the show, a lot of announcements happening where they talk about Liv Morgan being out for 6 months now with the shoulder injury. Not only is she out, Dominic Mysterio is also out, and he has not been medically cleared. So the IC title match between AJ Styles and Dominic Mysterio at Night of Champions will not be happening. It'll be happening at a later date once Dom is fully cleared. They did add a match in its replacement, but we'll get to that later on in the show. But right off the bat, kicking things off with some breaking news, and just a lot happened in this show, and a lot of good things coming from it. But we begin with Seth Rollins coming into the ring with his posse. He's got Paul Heyman. He's got Bron Breakker. He's got Bronson Reed. And basically Seth Rollins kind of comes out to a mixed reaction, which I think that's what creative was probably hoping for, was that he starts to get a mixed reaction. Too many cheers for him. He's supposed to be the bad guy, and he acknowledges that. He says, they're in Columbus, Ohio. He says, Columbus, I'm getting mixed signals from you guys. Some of you are cheering and singing my song. Others of you are booing me. Like, what's your deal? And then he goes on to say, you know what your problem is? You don't know what you want. You chant CM Punk. You chant Roman Reigns. You you sing my song. You even bark when Bron Breakker is in the ring. Like, you have no idea what you want. Basically calling them, as he said, short-minded individuals. Either way, it goes on and about it goes around about and says that he is protecting the future of this industry, that the only reason why some of these big names are around is because of him. He brings up Roman Reigns. He wouldn't be around unless Seth didn't form the Shield. CM Punk wouldn't be back in WWE if the company didn't want to make money off of Seth's hatred for CM Punk, which I thought, great line, by the way. That was good. And basically he says, we do have some good people that I think are very talented, but they are running a race for second place. I am the finish line. I am the end game. It will always be Seth freaking Rollins. See what you think of the opening segment.
Man, epic delivery. He basically kind of, it's with him being a vet in the game, it's good to see, that he's taking initiative to kind of like steer the crowd in a direction that he wants them to be in. It's one of the weird situations where you're that popular of a superstar, and it's hard for people to hate you, so, I think obviously his biggest heat was, when he turned on the Shield. So it's just like, I don't see him ever getting that heat again. So it's just, he's come a long way since then. And I feel like, he is this time around, especially now that he has his own faction yet again. And people still somewhat like him, as well as the two of the other guys that he has there, and Paul Heyman to be exact. They got to do a lot more to be hated. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm curious to see, who Rollins does cash in on down the line. I know the X factor is this whole King of the Ring tournament. Obviously, whoever would. Now Cody. So obviously Cody's on SmackDown. Jay's on. We got Cody and Orton. We'll get to that later. But is it whoever wins this? Can they challenge for either championship or
no? Only the brand that they're on.
Only the brand that they're on. Okay. Well, in this case, but like I said, we'll get to, even though we saw it coming anyway. But yeah. But yeah, I enjoyed the segment. Hopefully I've been seeing rumors that, they're going to add another person to this group. We'll see who that may be. I know we speculated before, but at this point, I don't even know. I feel like it's going to be somebody a lot younger than we've been expecting. It might be somebody from NXT. Who knows? But yeah, great segment by Seth Rollins. Can't wait to see what happens in the coming weeks.
All right, so we get to our first match right after that promo. It is Penta versus Bron Breakker. This match was scheduled just because Rollins wanted to send a message to Penta to stay out of his way, because Penta interfered last week in the King of the Ring qualifying match where he took out Bron Breakker. really, really good match, and it was a lot of back and forth. Loved the different spots. The Mexican Destroyer, of course, is one of the best finishing moves right now in WWE. But even watching Bron Breakker kick out of that was really surprising. Breakker using his Frankensteiner and off the top rope. It was wall-to-wall action. There was, for two opposite of wrestlers, they showed really great chemistry, and it was all topped off with the finish when Penta jumped off the side ropes looking to, I don't really know what he was looking to hit, but either way he jumped off, and Breakker caught him in midair and speared him straight into the ground. And 1, 2, 3, game over. Seth Rollins comes out and warns Penta one more time and says, "This is your last chance. Stay out of my business." To which Penta just shook his head and said no, and that was the end of the match. C, what'd you think?
Solid match. Like you said, you got two guys, different styles. You got Penta, who's more of a kind of like a more like the, high flying, cruiserweightish, type style. Has a little, I would say he has a little, a little bruiserweight in him as well. But we know Bron is pretty much full powerhouse, full bruiser. But he's one that has speed. So like he has that perfect combination of speed and power that you want. From any superstar. And so, solid match. I'm glad Bron has still been able to win his matches and not have any major setbacks in one-on-one competition, especially since losing the Intercontinental Championship. So, I'm curious to see what the end game is with him down the line. I wouldn't be surprised that he eventually turns on Rollins and goes after the championship whenever he cashes in and becomes champion. So, those are my thoughts.
Our next segment is a interview package with Michael Cole talking to Goldberg about the upcoming championship match he has with Gunther. Basically, Michael Cole asked, why is Goldberg wanting to do this now? Goldberg talked about the disrespect at Bad Blood last October when Gunther called him out in front of his wife and kid, said he felt embarrassed and was not willing to let it go, and he was just biding his time before he knew it was the right time to come out and challenge. Of an interesting note with this, in the interview, he did say, Goldberg, that Saturday night's main event was and it will be his retirement match. And that is confirmed. And Michael Cole even said, well, what if you win against Gunther? To which Goldberg just said, interesting dilemma, isn't it? With leaving some hint there. But he ended his interview by saying, I will beat the fuck out of Gunther at Saturday night main event. Short, sweet, and to the point. It took him about 25 years, but Goldberg's finally cutting some great promos. But I really liked the last 2 weeks of Goldberg. He has come off legitimate. Like, he's got his anger. He's angry. You could sense the embarrassment in his actions when he is talking about what Gunther did to him at Bad Blood. So it feels authentic, and that's something that I don't think everyone really got in WCW when he was there, and definitely not in his first WWE run or even the COVID WWE run that he had.
We don't speak of that.
We don't talk about that. But this actually feels like genuine, like Bill Goldberg, no character, nothing. This is like his actual self in these promos, and I think it's very refreshing. See, what do you think?
Same old shit, man. Brock Lesnar, Bobby Lashley,
Yeah.
Roman Reigns to an extent, Braun Strowman. I'm pretty sure you had a match against him. Kevin Owens.
No, Kevin Owens, yeah.
And now Gunther. Look, man, like the whole embarrassing in front of the family. It's always something involving the family. What? I'm just have to get a shirt that says "What are we doing?" Because that is what goes through my mind whenever I see shit that should not be going down. What are we doing? And I just want this shit to be over. Gunther, choke him out, like just put him in the headlock, finish him, and this so he can go home. I know it won't end like that because obviously it's his retirement match. So I would hope that he has a full repertoire of wrestling moves available for this entire match. Just as much as he had during his first stint in WWE and in WCW. I need to see something like that. All right. If not, I am perfectly fine with a squash match. On the part of Gunther, for Gunther to squash. I'm perfectly fine with that. I didn't even watch the whole segment. I just watched the part where he talked about being embarrassed and waiting to come back. Like I said, that's why I said same old shit because he did the same thing with Bobby Lashley, Brock Lesnar. Like, I'm over it. Like, let's get him on up out of here so he can move on. And yeah, he's already a Hall of Famer. Get him on up out of here. So enough of the part-time BS. Let's get him up out of here, and we can keep things rolling. So those are my thoughts.
All right, so then we get to our next match, which is a women's Queen of the Ring semifinal. The winner of this match goes on to face Asuka. It's between Jade Cargill and Roxanne Perez. But before the match, we look backstage at the Judgment Day where Finn Balor is attempting to rally the troops. One thing of note is that the New Day will be defending their tag team championships against the Judgment Day next week on Monday Night Raw. There will be an announcement on what will be happening with the women's tag team championship, but we'll get to that as they kind of teased a spoiler for us later on in the show. But either way, everyone's trying to come together without Liv, and Finn Balor, being manipulative that he is right now, has some kind of plan, and I'm very curious to see what it's going to be. But anyways, back into the ring. It was your typical, I mean, obviously Roxanne's outsized, but she used the mental game to get ahead of Jade Cargill. The commercials during this match didn't help with the pace. I thought it kind of ruined the pace of the match. Once things were getting good, they would cut to commercial, and then when they'd come back, it just was kind of it was just a stalemate. Nothing really noteworthy had happened, and it was all looking good until the finisher, when it was a little sloppy. Jade hit a power bomb. Looked like she was about to hit another power bomb on Roxanne, but then switched it after holding Roxanne down for about 5 seconds, then switched it to her finishing move, Jade, and hit the finisher, but not before she didn't even get Roxanne's shoulders down, to which the referee had to push the shoulders down of Roxanne for the 1, 2, 3 count, and it ruined what was a decent match. And either way, Jade Cargill advances. It'll be her versus Asuka for the Queen of the Ring championship, and Asuka then emerged from backstage, and her and Cargill had a stare down looking at the Queen of the Ring crown. See, what do you think of this match?
Nothing to write home about. I had Jay going to the finals on this one anyway. Roxanne doesn't strike me as someone that can be a Queen of the Ring and carry on that Queen of the Ring persona. And she's not ready to become world champion yet. So I think this is the best route for Jade to get propelled to the top of the division. You know, she wins this. It's on to the next, and she can get her a chance at Tiffany. It probably won't be Tiffany. Unfortunately, it probably had to be. She had to defeat Nia Jax, but there's also another X factor, which I think will probably happen. It won't happen until after Jade wins.
Mm-hmm.
She wins it. Naomi cashes in. Yeah. So, and they could continue the feud, which would be a good feud. It's already been a good feud. And so I think that's pretty much how they're going to carry that on throughout the year. And so I don't know how. I mean, I know Bianca's been taking a little break. So my guess is that the Bianca heel turn will also come on that night that Naomi cashes in on Jade, because Bianca will be celebrating and with Jade, and all of a sudden she attacks her, and then Naomi will come out there to cash in. And so when that happens, I want all my props. I want all my props on the Sunday pod when that happens. So SummerSlam, book it. But yeah, those are my thoughts on that match.
All right, we get to our next segment, which is Gunther coming to the ring to respond to the interview from Goldberg. And, you know, Gunther was fired up, gave a very intense promo. And I'm just going to read a couple of the quotes that he said that really stood out. He says, "Intense as always, but there's nothing Goldberg can say that will change my perception of him. My perception of him is that I see a 58-year-old one-trick pony who cannot lace my boots." And his final line, it's my personal responsibility to make sure that the legacy and the myth of Bill Goldberg forever dies. And when he said that, the crowd actually popped, like cheered. Don't think WWE was expecting that. See, what do you think of the promo from Gunther?
Great response from him. You know, glad he's, you know, not allowing the part-timer to tarnish his legacy, you know, letting them know, like, hey, like, you ain't on my level, Goldberg. You're not. And I'm going to show you what's going to happen at Saturday night's main event. So I was cool with the promo. He talked his shit, and I loved it. All right. It's how everybody should do when they have to go against Goldberg. You know what? Tell them, hey, just say what you got to say. Get personal. I don't care. run his ass back home. All right. Now I cannot wait. Atlanta, Georgia. Just get him out of here. Get him out of here. Send him home for good. And that way I don't want to hear shit on no damn Twitter. Nothing about him. Oh, I think I got one more in me. No. Your match against The Undertaker showed that you have nothing left in you, sir. All right? You should not be wrestling anymore. All right? You're not good. Those days are over. All right? You don't even look like that you should have the name Goldberg anymore. You're just a biker with muscles at this point in time. That is in his 50s or 60s, whichever. All right, it's time to let it go and retire. Batista did. Mm-hmm. He's in better shape, but he ain't Batista as we know him. All right, he ain't the animal Batista. All right, so you ain't the Goldberg that we know of anymore. You're just simply Bill Goldberg. You're not Goldberg. All right, so go away. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I'm sorry. I had to throw that out there.
No, all good. Yeah, great response. So before we get to our next match, which is a women's Intercontinental Championship match between Bayley and Becky Lynch, we get a backstage segment of Jackie Redmond talking to Sami Zayn, asking about how he was feeling after his loss Friday night to Randy Orton. Sami could not get a word. He was out. He was mumbling and stumbling his words, only for Karrion Kross to appear and basically antagonize Sami, saying, "I told you you're never going to be world championship if you keep doing what you're doing." To which Sami said, "You're probably right," and then dropped Karrion Kross with a right hook and said, "By the way, I talked to Adam Pearce and we have a match set." To which he didn't reveal when, but either way, Karrion Kross looked stunned, and then all of a sudden, Scarlett laughed and said, "I can't believe he fell for it," and Karrion Kross said, "Got him." And then after the IC title match was done, it became official. Sami Zayn and Karrion Kross will fight each other at Night of Champions. So big spotlight there for Karrion Kross. This is something the fans have been wanting, and it also gets Sami on the card at Night of Champions, despite not being in the King of the Ring championship. So, see any quick thoughts on what your thoughts of that segment and or the match being set?
It was good to see that they're finally using Karrion in matches again. They're going to be having him, be utilized in meaningful matches now. And so, instead of just seeing him backstage constantly, I get it. Every time we see him backstage, there's, some connection as to what's going to happen with the particular superstar that he's talking to backstage. But I just want to see the guy wrestle more often than not, man. That's pretty much where I'm at with that. Hell, even if it's not for a world championship, at least, let's get him with a mid card title. Mm-hmm. Have him go after that IC title. Whenever Don comes back. And I didn't even know he was hurt, by the way. I didn't know when he got hurt. When did he get hurt again?
I don't know exactly. They didn't really talk about that. They just said he has not been cleared for action, so they had to cancel the match. But that when he is cleared, it'll be
okay. AJ,
it'll be on. So I'm expecting it to be on an edition of Raw coming up here. That match.
Gotcha. But yeah, like I said, just throw them in the mix, man. Even if they happen to do a triple threat or something like that. So, we'll see what happens from here. But yeah, I enjoyed the segment. Karrion has just made a name for himself, pissing people off backstage, and so yeah.
All right, so back into the ring, we get our women's IC title match between Bayley and Becky Lynch, and when you have these two who have known each other forever, have fought each other forever, you know it's going to be a good match. And it was very physical, a lot of hard hitting. Bayley actually had to improvise because she was weak in her right arm, and she started using her left arm, which I thought was very creative. As she was selling the right arm injury, she was being being creative, using her opposite hand, which was actually really cool to see. Long story short, it gets out into the outside of the ring by the announce table. Becky actually starts burying Bayley with announce chairs and some steel chairs and gets back in the ring hoping for a count out. But Lyra Valkyria comes in and gets the chairs off of Bayley and gets her back into the ring, even though Becky then comes and attacks Lyra. Bayley then tries to ask Lyra what she was doing out there, only for Becky then she meant to hit Bayley, but she ended up hitting Lyra. Bayley was getting ready to hit her big elbow drop, and then Lyra became unhinged and started beating up Becky, which led to a disqualification, and Becky retained the women's IC title. See, we talked about this before. This is just going down the road of a triple threat at SummerSlam, and I think they did a good job getting right to it. This perfectly sets the stage for that.
Yep.
Logical booking. I love it. I love when they do that.
Yep. Yeah, I agree, man. Just want to throw this out there. Bayley got back. But back to the wrestling side of things. Yeah, I agree. This is where this needed to be headed, especially after Bayley returned. We knew that things were not just going to die down between her and Becky Lynch, especially along as well as we were not going to see anything die down between Becky and Lyra. So yeah, I definitely see this being pretty solid matchup, especially considering the fact that Lyra and Bayley were supposed to be in that tag team championship match at Mania. Bayley gets attacked, and then her and Becky win, only to lose the next night. And then just there's so many different variables in this situation here, and obviously Lyra being the champion at the time, going through everything that she's going through with Becky, and then you bring back Bayley, and Bayley wants her opportunity at the championship, which I'm pretty sure she's been wanting for a hot minute as well, while Lyra was champion. And so you got that part of it. Lyra wants her championship back. Everybody wants a shot at the championship. And so triple threat is the best way to go. I know they might have a match to try to determine the number one contender for a championship. We know how that's going to end. Probably a no contest or a disqualification. And then, triple threat gets announced. This match is solid. But like you said, all it was a setup for the triple threat that we're going to get, I believe, in August. So, yep.
All right,
Was August or July?
SummerSlam?
Yeah.
August. I think.
August. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Gotcha.
SummerSlam 2025. Hang on, I'm looking at it. Yeah, August 2nd.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, so we get to our next segment, which is Raquel Rodriguez being in the ring with both women's tag team titles, and she is calling out Rhea Ripley for costing her the spot in the Queen of the Ring tournament, and back and forth they go. Raquel just does it. I know she's trying, but it just seems her mic skills are just so unnatural. And Like, I think backstage she's great, but it just looks like she gets stage fright in front of the crowd. Like, I think her backstage stuff is good, but in the ring, something changes. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking too deep into it, but either way, they start brawling each other. Rodriguez then gets a table out, to which Ripley takes Rodriguez down, sets up the table, gets ready to put Rodriguez through the table, only for Roxanne Perez to come out and stop it. She then takes the brunt of the hit from Rhea, but it allows Rodriguez to recover and sends Rhea through the table. And Rodriguez looks at Roxanne, helps her up, and thanks her for her help, and actually helps her to the backstage. Then right after that segment is done, we see Rhea running to Adam Pearce's office, asking for a match with Rodriguez, to which Adam Pearce says, already done it. And she said, I also want to make it a special match. And he said, oh, I've already done that too. It's going to be a street fight next week between Raquel and Rhea on Raw, to which Rhea was very happy to hear that. Pretty cut and dry. It was a copy and paste segment, honestly. We've seen this before. I did like the added addition of Roxanne still trying to win over Judgment Day, and the hints that WWE is dropping is that Roxanne will take over Liv's spot in the women's tag team division so that they can keep the titles. And I'm okay with that. I think that's a good idea. And it adds more layers to the story for when Liv comes back, because they've been hinting at Roxanne basically replacing Liv, and now she actually is. So it's good. But the segment itself, nothing too great. The Slim Jim table came out, and I can't wait to see what sponsors are going to be on the kendo sticks next week on Raw.
Bro, like the Slim Jim, I was telling one of my friends that I went to UIS with, like I was telling him, like, man, they got sponsors on the tables now, man. Like we've come a long way from the old days, man. Like you couldn't pay Vince to put a sponsor on any part of the ring unless it was like probably the outside where they had like the little special things, or if they like put the sponsors on this brought to you by this or whatever, like, but on the tables on the nah. But yeah, man, I enjoyed the segment. It's there's a lot of history between Raquel and Rhea. As far as I remember, they were a tag team for a short period of time, and so they've dating back to NXT, man. They long history, and so it's good to see that they're continuing on with that. They got good chemistry in the ring too, and so I can't wait to see them duke it out yet again at Saturday night's main event. Or is it at Saturday, or is it just next Monday?
It's next Monday.
Next Monday. So yeah, it'll be a great match to see, and so can't wait for it.
All right, so now we get to our main event, the King of the Ring tournament semifinal between Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso. The hype was real for this match, and just to think, this was only a week of buildup. Imagine if they would have done this for like a month leading up to a PLE or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But great, the storyline was perfect. Former enemies, now great friends, fighting for their lost championship that they each once had, and it delivered with some great near falls, false finishes, Jey stealing Cody's crossroads, Cody hitting a Cody cutter once from the bottom rope, second off the top rope, and then literally taking Jey up to the top rope and hitting a Cody cutter from there. And Jey reversing with spears. It was great. You could sense the emotion from both men that they wanted to win, but they hated that they were doing this to their best friend. And eventually Cody hit the crossroads after the super Cody cutter from the top rope and pinned Jey 1, 2, 3. So it'll be Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes for the King of the Ring crown at Night of Champions. I think this match was fantastic, match of the night. And after the match, obviously Jey very upset that he lost, but Cody showed sign of respect, to which they both hugged, and Jey lifted Cody's arms in the ring. I feel like this was probably destined to happen, Cody versus Orton. I think we have been teased with this for so long.
Yep.
It was almost a guarantee, but now we are getting it. And honestly, this match and the John Cena CM Punk match, those are the two matches everyone is going to be talking about. It's kind of a so-so card for Night of Champions. You have the U.S. Championship between Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa. You got Jade Cargill versus Asuka. That could go either way. And by either way, I mean that could either be a great match or a botch fest. You have Sami and Karrion Kross, which I think everyone's happy to see Kross getting to wrestle, but could there be ring rust? And obviously he's going into enemy territory because Sami's going to be so over in Saudi Arabia. So it's just a so-so card, but these two matches really will probably make everybody forget about the other three, if I'm being completely honest. But all in all, I thought really good Monday Night Raw, pretty solid go-home show, and now we wait to see what happens on SmackDown before we get to Night of Champions. C, thoughts on the main event and any final thoughts that you have?
The main event, I enjoyed it. These two, we know the history there, Bloodline, Cody versus Bloodline, and then obviously a year later after that, him having Jey on his side, with the Bloodline, against, Roman, them winning tag team championships, winning the tag team championship together, just a lot of history there. And so anytime these two in the ring, man, they can cook. And so I think this was the one rare time they had a one-on-one match. And so the stakes are a lot different because Jey has basically matured into this, single superstar. He's not facing Jey as just a tag team competitor. Not one half of the Usos, but main event Jey Uso.
Mm-hmm.
So it was good to see these two lock it up for a chance at the King of the Ring finals. I enjoyed all of it. Pretty solid episode of Raw overall. I give it a nice give it a solid A.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think a good A-. I think there were some segments that weren't that great, but for the most part, a lot of good segments.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that is going to wrap up another edition of Monday Night Raw Dog. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to all of our content. Follow us on all the social media platforms. And, just be good people. Be good people in these times that we're having right now. Let's care for each other. And all I can say is I look forward to seeing you all once again next week on Monday Night Raw Dog. For Big Daddy C, I am Coach. We'll see you next time.
Peace, guys.